Hello, everyone. I wanted to talk a little bit about the first chapter that we are reading this week, the chapter on cognitive regulation. The chapter has lots of main points, and I'm definitely not going to talk about all of them, but the major sections in the chapter are about metacognition, attention, goal setting, recognizing and resolving problems, help seeking, decision making, and organizational skills. These are all things that help students regulate themselves cognitively. So they're really important. And they're things that you might want to implement in your plans in future assignments. So I think this chapter is particularly important. I wanted to talk a little bit about goal setting because one thing that we see a lot in schools is a lack of purpose beyond getting a grade, right? So the types of goal setting that students can do, and there are multiple kinds, they can also be thinking about mastery learning as opposed to performance learning, or mastery goals as opposed to performance goals. So a performance goal is to say, you know what, I want to get at least a B in every class this semester. That's a performance goal that your student might have, and it's worth having. But a mastery goal would be something along the lines of, I really want to understand the structure of cell organelles by the end of this unit. So when students ask teachers why they're doing something, the answer a teacher gives can kind of steer the student in the direction of what goal they are looking for. So the student might say, why are we learning this? And the teacher might say, because it's going to be on the test and you want to get a good grade. I would argue that a better answer would be, if the student says, why are we learning this? The teacher can say, because it's really important for us to understand the structures that are inside the cell so we can understand how cells interact with one another or respond to disease or whatever it is. So you're still not having to give a reason that has to pertain to their everyday life right now, although I would argue that it does. Rather, you're giving a reason that has a purpose beyond just getting a good grade. And I think that is huge, and it helps them regulate their thinking about it. Another thing the chapter talks about is learned helplessness, and you'll see on the Moodle site that I put up a video about learned helplessness from a psychology point of view. The book talks about it a little bit differently. In the book, one way they talk about it is the teacher or others always supplying the answer, so students learn that they don't have to try and they don't have to challenge themselves. Whereas the psychology viewpoint is more that no matter how hard you try, it hasn't been successful, and therefore you learn to just be helpless. I think they're both important things to think about, especially when we consider trauma. We do have the problem of students who've been in trauma not feeling like they have control over anything and having the psychology learned helplessness. And I think we also have the problem of it being easier for everyone sometimes for a teacher to just supply the answer or a parent to just do the task for the child. Sometimes when you're trying to get out the door and you have a toddler, even though that toddler might be able to put on his or her own shirt, you want to do that for them because you need to get out the door, and that's understandable. We just need to find times that we don't do things for our students so that they learn how to persist in the face of challenges. All right, so those are the things that I wanted to talk about. Obviously, it's pretty brief. I hope you enjoyed the chapter and enjoy the activities that we have for you this week.